human, pets, and other interested parties that have tuned in. I'm Hambbage, and thanks for joining me. Today, as you can see, kind of lurking back there behind this awesome starting soon slide, is the Minecraft starting screen. And yes, indeed, we are about to kick off another episode of Hardcore Vanilla Minecraft. So let's get the slide out of the way. Let's get this thing going. I'm so glad you guys are here. Hope you enjoy. What's the question? The question is, what are we going to do today? First thing, obviously, is we gotta pull the fabric of existence back over our heads and jump back into our world here. For anyone who doesn't know, or maybe watching out of order or hopping around, we just returned at the end of the last episode from the end, and we now have 6 shulker boxes. We've loaded up a few of those with various tools and implements of gathering and construction, etc. And we've got a couple options here for our time, and we kind of talked, and I'll just reiterate a little bit. Having done a whole bunch of the kind of game progression content in a row, we beat the dragon. We went to the Nether. We made our path over to our end portal after clearing the end stronghold. We eventually, after we got all ready for it, we readied up and beat the dragon, took over its island as our own, and are now kind of set up to move on in gameplay progression. And there's a couple of different things that can take. I'm hearing now that I didn't silence my phone, and it's gonna ding the whole time. Hopefully not. Hopefully that's just the second on one text, and that'll be the end of it. If not, we'll go take care of it here if anything continues. But so yeah, we've done a lot going to the end, clearing the cities, getting shulkers, getting our wings, and all those kinds of things are great to have. But as much as we do need to continue on, we're not just gonna now instantly push to fight the wither or anything like that. Not that we can't do most everything pretty confidently. But I think we do want to kind of slow play a little bit. We don't just want to push through all the content, see everything, and then just get stuck in an endless loop of supplies, building, and just going out into the world, I guess to push further boundaries. Instead, what we're going to do is kind of take a quick. What I've kind of been thinking is, we don't have many rockets, unfortunately. So, as much as I'd like to take a test flight, I kind of want to build up our gunpowder supply first, and that really would best be served by creepers. Creepers are best gathered and harvested through spawners, and we can effectively set that up a bit as another build. But in the process of building, I do definitely want to start transforming this from half a wall with a kind of broken down tower that looks more like a ruin to something that I think would kind of more approximate an active fortification slash settlement out in an unknown distance from whatever a parent community would be. So we've got a couple things to do. I think that number one on that list is going to be going to our quarry and jamming up a bunch of sandstone. I kind of think that's our starting point. We need to go gather. Do we? Oh, I don't know if in all our box packing and loading and all that, did we ever get a bed? I didn't think so. Let's just load up all this stuff. Now we can carry it, and we're kind of going overworld adventure time. We don't really need two beds in. Oh, yeah. Well, let's just carry a bed here. How about that? So yeah, we've got a good shovel. We've got many good picks. We've got a quarry close by, but I'm a little inclined to actually take us a little further into the distance. We've got so much desert, and more of it seems to have large mountainy type areas. And I haven't quite thought of what we're going to do. We've talked a little bit about making kind of an arena type area in our quarry there. So I'd kind of like to think on that for a bit and just go somewhere where we can grab a lot of stuff and where we may actually be closer to a temple. I know we've left a lot of gunpowder around at various temples as we've gotten started here. So as we head for the desert, I'm going to lift my mic here. I've got an array of beverages to get going. It's I'll just tell you real quick while we're sailing here. This is next day from our previous play sessions, and as I'd mentioned, yesterday for me was mid 70s but windy, partly cloudy, billowing cloud type day, and really nice to be out. Even though it was windy, it wasn't like either a chilling or a blasting wind. It was just kind of wind, but very neutral and felt pretty good actually. So just kind of enjoyed that while we were out in it. Like I said, I went out and played some disc golf, and it didn't make accuracy and sometimes distance a real good thing, but it really made for kind of pleasant afternoon. So I enjoyed all that, shorts and a t-shirt, that kind of weather. And today I just got back from my kind of morning walk outside. It dried up after a lot of rain last night, and is now gray and overcast, and I guess gray overcast are kind of the same thing, but you know what I mean. It's just heavy clouds day. Supposed to rain off and on, I think, for like the next through Tuesday, I think. So three days. Tuesday is supposed to become rain and snow mix, but today it was trying to get to 40 when I was outside earlier. I just looked and it was just over 40 degrees. So it's a big difference from what it had been. And so sitting here on my desk with me, I've got a rare. I bought a little thing of cocoa back in the fall, and I kind of do this one. I've been pretty straightforward that I'm not real wild about a lot of sugar, so I don't really go in for sweet treat kind of stuff. But on occasion, I like to have a warm. Really, the one place we go is the one place where we've already taken all the gunpowder. Oh, we're going to be gathering up this stuff. All right. That's good enough. Now we could harvest out, sandstone in the temple. I'm not too worried about all that. We're not coming here to try to. Oh, hey, Enderman. Try to deforest the world or anything. Deforest, desand. Now I want to find out where I left my boat so we can kind of mark that as our starting point. All right, it's by this sugar cane, and let's set here. So let me know. I know it's been pretty quick. I got another what I now kind of sadly see one of my first commenters, that seemed legit, at least not fully bought to me, had commented a while back, and like 3 weeks ago or so, and I was like, okay, that's cool, got a comment, and then I got the same comment from the same account on a video just a couple days ago, exactly identical, which either means the whole thing is just a fraud. I mean, it does point back to an active account, and there's a few videos on it. I went and checked it out. I was like, oh, okay, cool. This comment says that this person's making videos and blah 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 blah. And hey, I'm just getting started in this. I'll go check it out, and I don't feel bad about it. I mean, you guys may well, so what if I am? And I kind of suspect that the commenter is someone that's just, got a cut and paste comment, and that they're going around searching for content on YouTube, and they're putting the comment, hoping to do exactly, what I did. They get a response, they get a couple views, and maybe a reply comment. Not a bad thing, but it just, it feels a little hollow when you realize that the comment they put on your stuff was just a cut and paste factory. And I'm not getting down on the person or the representation, whatever the case may be, at all, for coming into my channel, leaving a comment with the intent of trying to draw views back. It's a part of being communities, right? That part of that is getting your name out there, engaging with others. If you expect people to engage with you, you've got to do the same. And that's just a give and take, right? You can't just expect that, oh, everybody's going to come to me. I'm doing something that's completely different from a million other people out there. No, you're not. But the real goal is to try to find people for whom your content resonates a little bit. Like, it makes them feel like, yeah, that's something I can relate to. I want more of that. So there's definitely a get out there, see other people that are doing the same, and don't think that they're stealing your views or anything like that. There's people out there, and those people themselves are potential viewers. So, engage, watch other people that are just starting out. I kind of say this lightly because I do the same thing, but the established big boy streamers, they don't they kind of do, and of course they say they do. They need views to stay afloat as well, but they don't need your discovery views or comments, right? And honestly, while they have a large audience, and it's good to comment and be a part of those, but they aren't looking personally to go out and kind of become a core member or recurring member of other communities. They get hit by hundreds of their, if you have a channel that's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, you know, tens of thousands of daily viewers, you aren't looking for new people to watch. You're getting bombarded with comments, chat room messages, all that kind of stuff. Hey, I'm a creator. I got new stuff. And hopefully those people are, what they're really trying to do is reach the 10,000 other people that are viewing that video. They also understand that they're not going to be seeing a lot of, the actual creators. Now, depending on age and experience and all that, some people may actually, hey, that's the person I've been listening to for years. They would love me. I love all their stuff. They would totally love to see my stuff. And I think that can be a big area of disappointment for people when they realize that, yeah, those creators, they don't have enough hours in the day to go see everybody. And you may be, a hardcore member of their viewer base, and you may have been there for years. They may read your comments, and you may be subscribed and all that kind of stuff. But even with all that, there's just not enough hours in the day for them to go view all your content or all their viewers' content. And even the treasured people, and when they do call out seeing videos or something, understand that they're kind of doing the click shopping as well. That they'll go through, maybe, if it's in Twitch, they'll search the directory and see, and if you're lucky, and if they're thinking about it and being conscious of it, they will they'll try to drop into a few low viewer count streams. A lot of times they'll be using a different channel, right? They don't want it. It's like celebrities wearing a wig or a baseball cap when they go to the grocery store. They don't always want to be recognized. And the same thing goes for chat rooms and streams. If you're a big name streamer, and you've already got lots of views, and you've kind of got a formula in your channel to generate revenue and all the rest of that kind of stuff, and you're truly treating it as a business. Well, you've already got your channel, and it's gonna kind of have a momentum. Now, that can be fleeting. It can go away very quickly, and if it does, you're at risk of losing that precious momentum, and being frankly in trouble. That you may not be able to continue on. It's fast passing, and you do just need to make the most of it while it's there. And so they can't neglect their own audience, but they also can't go see everybody all the time. And when they do go viewing, they'll likely be under a different name, and just kind of popping in, seeing who's out there. Sometimes you find a gem. Sometimes they find somebody that really resonates, and they'll either kind of quietly wait for an opportunity to do a raid that can be kind of life-changing for those people. And they may just find reminders that, hey, this is why I don't do that. These are things I don't want to do. Seeing people struggle at the beginning, they'll kind of go, yeah, I was there at one point. The other thing that I suspect comes up quite a bit is that they, as they search a directory, like let's say just random Joe and his Minecraft stream. He's got hundreds of thousands of followers, a bunch of concurrent subscriptions going. a few hundred to a few thousand, depending on the day and the time, viewers in his stream live, and the odds up, they get more watches and all that kind of stuff, right? Partnered and good to go. Well, if that person is out looking in the directory, remember that they're also very likely going to know a lot of the established um, other streamers that are out in that channel. Whether when they were starting out, they were members of chats, whether the other people came out of their chat. It is a community, and those. So, you also can't expect that they just constantly look at unknown names when there's so many that they do recognize it, and when so many people out of their own chats go. If you've just kind of gotten going, um, you can't expect that they're going to pop in. And the other thing I know, for me, Hambbage didn't exist until I started streaming, and I'm not going to cross over uh, with other identities that I've had out there in the kind of Twitterverse type stuff, or any of those. You don't want your identity to come out, and so you do kind of have to start over. And so, likewise, it's a question. Um, I guess I would never do this, so I don't know. You could maybe DM some people and say, hey, I'm really so and so, or have been, but don't expect that they're necessarily going to believe you either, right? That's something that a million people would say. So don't, I guess don't go chasing the cloud. Hang on one second. I'm gonna get that sip I never had. One second. Cocoa. So anyway, after all that roundabout stuff, we come back to the. I had a comment that was repeated weeks later, word for word, and it just kind of made me feel like, oh man, you know, whether really a person who's trying to get started and dropping into a channel and adding comments, wherever they see content just to try to get people to go, or whether it's something more malicious. I don't even know. I don't know what that would be, but I just kind of it was just a kind of bummer, man. It was like, oh, that was close to being, uh, someone that could be celebrated as, hey, you actually found this content and took the time to comment, and I appreciate that. And instead, it's, oh, you apparently don't even bother enough to put together uh, people that have reciprocated or not. You just, on a semi-regular basis, go around and paste this same comment back in, hoping to draw clicks and views. And I'm giving the benefit of the doubt there again. I think I'll take the content at its word. And I didn't, I did go to the channel, and I did just take a peek. Sounds like, if you take it at its word, it's somebody young getting started, and I think I even reciprocated this one. Like, hey, it's good, not exactly my cup of tea, but good luck with it, and keep working on it. And I don't know, if that is likely to continue or not, but I would just recommend, and for me, I will continue to, kind of try to be out there and see, are there other other creators out there that are doing stuff I like to enjoy in the time that I do have to search. Um, and if there are comments in there, and just try to say, hey, use the context of what they're doing to try to establish a connection. Hey, I see you're going to the end. I just went to the end in my world. Here, check out video 45. I don't know. Whatever. When I was looking for my end portal, my end stronghold was all broken apart, and I really struggled to find it for a bit there. And when I went to where my pearls were telling me to make my staircase, I ended up being off a few blocks and having to figure it out. Never seen anything like that. Have you, that kind of stuff. If you're gonna try to encourage people in other comments to come back, at least do the decent thing and try to give a relevant reason why. And I get it that that can take a lot. That's like sales type jobs in the real world. You get a lot of no's before you get a yes, and you've got to have thick skin. You got to put in the time though. If it's calls or office visits or however they're getting you in touch with a potential customer list, you have to just keep working that list and going through. But you can't treat the 87th attempt any different than the first. You've got it, because that could be your customer, right? And for their first impression of you, doesn't care that they're your 87th attempt, right? That they just want to know how well you're going to serve them, and what you're going to do to retain and get their business. So you better be treating that 87th person just as well as the first person you talk to. And you can't reflect to them that, oh man, I don't ever know if anybody's going to come, so I'm just going to give you, I got a cue card that I memorized with my little speech, and so I'm just gonna, say it dryly like this: that, hey, here we go. I've got lunch coming up in 45 minutes, so let me tell you quick about what ballpoint pens I have for sale for you today. And wouldn't you like to get these? They're really cheap and durable. Blah 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 blah. That's never, you're never going to get people that way. You're not going to retain good people, and that's why I worry that whatever this commenter was is a little more nefarious. Maybe not. Maybe they just don't even know that much of kind of how the world works, and this is a good way to figure it out. But that's my reaction to it, and I guess my imperfect, because I certainly don't have massive, not getting loads of comments yet. I'm not even getting a ton of views. Certainly some improving view counts, and I'm grateful for all you guys that are tuning in. But yeah, for me, going out and trying to engage with other communities as Hambbage, all I can do is try to be genuine and sincere, and at least enough of an acknowledgement that, and I'm not, I can't watch all my own content, much less all of anybody else's, but I can go in and, watch enough of the video that I'm about to comment on to say, I appreciate what you're doing in the game. I like the game too. Here's something in my experience with the game that may relate. And then, hey, if you want a chance to see what I'm doing, here's my channel. Here's a video that I think maybe kind of interesting. I would at least, recommend a video that's not one where I accidentally left a slide up in front of us. I'm pretty sure I got rid of the starting slide on this one, but anytime I see it, I gotta check. Or notepad or anything like that. I'm gonna try to hey, take a look at this video. It's it's something that shows that hey, I was aware of what you're doing at least, and I'm trying to relate and be relatable to what you're doing. It's just like when you're making friends in school, or if you've ever moved and end up in a new school and you're meeting new people, and it's a little scary and a little tough, and it I think one of the quickest ways that people make new friends in situations like that is that they the people in the new place that are already established, the ones that are usually most receptive to people that have arrived and kind of have that um, glazed over look in their eye in the lunchroom when they're looking around it. Nothing's from nobody's familiar. None of the jokes, none of that shared history are common to people. It's the other people that have experienced that are most receptive to, hey, don't be a jerk just because that kid, has their hairstyle a little bit differently, or maybe they moved from across the country or a different place, different part of the world even, and have a different accent. They speak a little different. Don't just make that a person to tease. Go say hi, see where they're from, what their story is. It's those kinds of connections, and done virtually, they're going to relate. And when you're trying to, when you're that either the new person or person reaching out to a new person, the conversation usually is a back and forth exploration to find something that you both can relate to. It's the same as being a salesperson and being good at it. You find that thing that makes you and the other person have some common ground, something to relate to. And when you're a content creator for particularly in let's plays and that kind of stuff, you know make that something within the confines of the game. You already have number one right there. You've got a common interest in whatever the game is that you're playing. All right, another sip. So you don't even have to sit around and say, "Hey, have you ever played baseball? Um, do you like puppies and kittens? Any of that kind of stuff." You just, hey, I see, you're playing some Minecraft on YouTube, making great videos. So am I, so am I, and I really like doing this. This was a new thing for me. Have you ever tried that? That's a conversation, right? And that's what I like most when I see comments is people that have you know at least seen some of the content, or have played enough to kind of anticipate what part of the game you're in or something, and go from there. So I don't know. We'll see what it is, but yeah, comments are out there. If you're watching videos, may want to at least mix it up, or check before you paste and see if any of those people have already gone to the bother of commenting on your videos. Because if they have, maybe a thank you or something like, "Hey, glad to see you stop by." Be be cool to keep coming around, and I'm gonna enjoy making more content for you if you really do enjoy it. Anything you'd like to see, that kind of stuff. That's how you make those people feel welcome and appreciated when they do drop by. So anyway, I'm not trying to get preachy, I guess. just trying to relate a little bit of my experience in kind of the sales and business world. If you're getting started, and the things that kind of differentiate um, really good salespeople from very mediocre people, or people that say it's an unrewarding job, are usually the ones that aren't aren't doing those things that make their opportunities. When I say that about the people that they're trying to sell to, don't make those feel appreciated or welcome. So again, treat it's back and forth, right? If you're trying to make this go for money, and again, I'm far from that point here. I just, I just like to get more of um, a viewer base that's interacting more regularly. I just want to share that feedback a little bit. That um, a comment is a great way to lay that down, but you gotta be ready to back it up. And I'm pretty confident that whatever the comment was is probably something that at even at its best is just keyword built association trying to go out and, oh, hey, this video has the keywords Minecraft, hardcore, vanilla, something like that. If you find those, then insert text, hey, I'm a modded viewer. So I don't know. Anyway, it's all good, and I still appreciate the comments. I hope they work out for you better in the long term. But yeah, I'll keep watching for folks who are kind of responding to uh, uh, questions or things posed in the videos themselves, or have feedback on what I've done or seen. Any of that kind of stuff, I think, is going to be um, what I'm most likely to engage back on going forward. But we'll see. And maybe, hopefully, if that other person ever takes off, I don't know, that they got some real feedback, at least, out of their comments. For me, it's like, well, all right, at least my titles and descriptions are are getting caught in somebody's search. That's good, right? That's the biggest hurdle, is getting those initial views. And that's why I do so appreciate it when people do like and or comment, um, share, spread the word with other Minecraft viewers. At least getting the opportunity out there for people to try it and say, hey, yeah, not for me. That's cool. I get it. There's lots of creators that aren't, for whatever reason, just don't click with what I'm looking for. But again, I'll still try to sample as many of those as I can, knowing that, hey, just a couple extra unique views are helpful and good. So we'll see. And yeah, for anybody who's watching there, keeping an eye on the shovel. It's low. With diamond, you get a lot more durability. So even as it wears down, and a little more so than nether, you're never going to get this netherite. You're never going to get the same durability increase um, jump that you ever will with diamond compared to iron. It's unequal, and you'll get, sorry, itchy whiskers on my cheek. You'll get, you'll get increased durability, but it's like, I think, and I don't know if this is fully enchanted or not, but I think it's like 1,300 or something more uses with a plain. It's either both fully enchanted or both plain, but iron to diamond. So it's a lot, and obviously that's what we've been using, right? We even before we had mending, we could kind of in limited scale use the axe and some of those and not worry about them just breaking instantly, um, because the diamond is so much more durable than just the iron tools. So we can kind of use this down into the red, but we don't want to break it, right? The levels and everything else that we had to put into making this tool are precious. We don't want to have to start over, but um, we're pretty full already. We've exposed quite a bit of this sandstone, and we'll kind of clear it up from here. Still getting some. So, didn't really expect to get into that too much. I saw that reposted comment, and as I was kind of reviewing that the last video had loaded and what it was, and saw, hey, wow, there's already a comment on something that had just gone up. I said I was going back out for the evening, so I'd set it to load and uh, got back home later last night and just checked to make sure that the upload went complete, all that just typical stuff. I was like, oh wow, there's already a view and a comment. I'm impressed. That's pretty cool. And yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit bummed, maybe too strong a word. And it's not like disappointment or anything, because frankly, I'm just, I'm still at the point where I'm glad to have the views, and coming back to see, oh, hey, look at that. It's only been up for like an hour or two, and some of the videos sit for a day or two without any views, and it's not where I want to be, but I get it. It's and I'm hopeful and watching and seeing the numbers, and it would appear that there are people that are working their way through some of the content, um, even some of the older stuff. And I know I've been putting up at a pretty good clip right now, and that may be, um, frankly, a bit of a mistake. I don't know. Again, I'm new to this, right? This is stuff I don't have answers for when I say these kind of things. I'm just figuring it out too, but maybe a bit counterproductive to. Um, I think this one's still. I think we were going to put tools in here eventually, but for now, so we don't have enough to need it. I'll just do that. Get another sip. So yeah, I may be hurting a little bit by kind of um, producing more than people can keep up with, so they can't stay current on what the new stuff is. And if that's the case, again, feedback appreciated in the comments. If anybody's been down that road, let me know what you discovered or seen. Um, I just know I like playing the game, and would continue to do so. But I have, unrelated, I've kind of been thinking there's a couple other games, and is it possibly time to start um, parallel playthroughs of the others? Not so much because I'm um, tired of Minecraft at all, but just to kind of cross from a game that has such an established and present viewer base, but let the playthroughs kind of build on a more digestible pace, and get some other series out there too that are out there if people search, and these would be games with fewer conflicting creators out there. That two in particular that I'm thinking about. One has had off and on buzz for a few years, and actually just updated, maybe 6 months ago or so. It had a big bump, and maybe kind of in the aftermath of that. And I have played a little bit, but I haven't played all the way through, so there'd be new content for me, and I'd enjoy it. But I have yet to determine how I want to balance all that out, and if any of that becomes live. Do I use one or the other of these two titles to start the live stuff? I do wonder greatly, and I haven't come up with an answer for myself yet, of what is going to be my approach to a live versus a recorded Minecraft world, right? I don't want to go, and I probably could, because as I understand it, streaming is much the same as YouTube. You maybe play into an empty room, or just one or two bots in live streams, until anybody even notices that you're playing a game. When people do start to come, they're not gonna be just locked in and constant. So I could probably come in with this world, continue to break episodes, and get away with that quite a bit. Ultimately, I would always prefer to have only a single world going. And when I was first getting started back in World 1 of this, I'd actually started another world of my own offline while I was, while videos were loading or whatever. I knew I could, kind of pop in and play. And, I hadn't played early game content a whole lot, so it was kind of helpful. I was getting a chance to practice a bit of my own gameplay off stream, and when everything's new like that, it doesn't hurt to have a bit of variety. So I don't know. We'll see how it all comes out. But things I've been kind of considering a little bit, I guess. Anyway, I keep thinking maybe I'll just finish this up and then get into what I'm actually trying to talk about a little bit, because I don't want to rush it. It's this other stuff has just kind of been fun and games, but I have something IRL date specific to talk about, and I want to give it its full due. It's rather timely. Oh boy. Okay, buddy. It's very happy to see us. All right, how are we doing? Not much. I'd like to get this loaded up at least. Those are all sandstone. maybe we carry a little bit of stone. If I could fill that with sandstone, then I could switch and wrap up the rest with, just wrap up my own inventory maybe with whatever's in this cave here. That's kind of my thought. So when we start heading back home is when maybe I'll talk a little bit. Well, now we can just kind of in and out. I just do want to give it some real focus from my end, and that's today is Mother's Day. I, as an adult man who lives states away from where I grew up and where my folks still live, you know, I try to talk to my parents very regularly, especially with the pandemic and all that. They're just a phone call away, or Zoom, or whatever kind of connect is most convenient. Really, really to them. It's, hey, however you guys want, I'll get in touch. So we try to stay in pretty close contact, and that's honestly that's quite a treasure of our modern world, really, to be able to chat and communicate despite being miles away. It wasn't that terribly long ago that when you were separated by long distance like that really letters and postcards and things like that were about the most accessible way to keep in touch that there was. And you say, well, there were phones and all that. Well, there were, but the cost of communicating by phone has gone down dramatically in my lifetime. And for some of you guys, to the point where you probably never even, it would be so foreign to try to wrap your head around what used to be a great luxury. And again, half of my family, my dad's side of the family, is still in the UK. He came over as a young man and was an immigrant to the United States, naturalized, became a citizen, and has been here for a long time. As a man in his 80s, he's had a good long life and enjoyed it. I hope. I think everything we talk about, it seems like he's very much enjoyed it and doesn't have regrets or anything. But one of the big challenges is that for much of that time, it's been very difficult. Not difficult. I mean, they're always only a phone call away, and were even in the 80s, my lifetime, but before that, certainly even more. And I don't know what the rates were, all that, but it used to be. I mean, nowadays with mobile and everything's on net. You don't think about it too much or even look. You have global minutes. That didn't used to be the case. It used to be that you had a per minute rate on long distance phone calls, and international long distance phone calls were phenomenally expensive. We're talking like. And again, I don't know what the rates were exactly, but to the customer's end, they could be close to $1 a minute based on where you were calling to, and really the abundance of the transoceanic or whatever lines were going to carry that call. There wasn't digital satellite linked communication. You couldn't send stuff up nowadays, and most of your calls and everything are going to go digitally, but they will be sold through a whole network of undersea cables, and that's big business there. There's a lot going on there, and those those providers are still paying a lot per minute. There's still rates and per minute. None of that went away. You're just paying for it in your subscription to your phone, and knowing that with all the other stuff that you get and pay for, and let's face it, we're all kind of addicted to it. But with all of that other stuff, you'll roll in enough profit for these companies to pay for whatever long distance calls they have to complete across. So somebody who's come from Pakistan and is talking to their family regularly, they're actually making a little more off their plan than if you're just texting your friends in school across town. That's nothing for a network to complete. Think like on net versus off net texting and stuff like that. On net texting just means that you're connecting to cell towers that that company actually owns or leases and has a direct connection into their servers on. So those messages never have to be data that's paid for on any other network. It's just they own the servers and all that. They own the connectivity. So there's no transportation. Think of it, like ships or packages or mail or whatever. There's nothing to send those bytes over the internet. It's just already paid, in the equipment that they needed. So not a bad thing to be aware of, but back in the day, none of that existed. If you wanted to call grandma and grandma lived in Seattle and you lived in Florida, you had to pick up the phone, and they had to go carrier to carrier. And so, like if, what do we say? You live in Florida and grandma lives in Seattle. So you pick up your phone in Florida and you have, a phone company that runs the lines out to your house and connects to your phone, and completes all your calls there in the area. Well, in addition, they know, okay, so this person wants to call to Seattle, and there were actually monopoly questions, and these, get ready, that these questions never really go away. And at this point, it's kind of the data networks and some of those kind of things. At one point it was railroads and banks and some of those. But what is too much control? And to get those established early on, there were regulated government phone companies. Ma Bell, if you guys have seen that referred to or heard about it in the past, the Bell telephone system was across the country, and had created these, the old pictures of the steam train kind of running out across the prairie, and beside it were a line of raggedy phone lines, right? Well, that's the same kind of stuff that on a bigger, more robust scale, it was still out there. You had to get that line to somebody that had a cable, and probably through a patchwork connection of cables that went from Florida to Seattle. And the quality on these things was terrible. Think about, like, whatever you've got when you're getting in or out of the car, and your Bluetooth is jumping from Wi-Fi in the house to the cell network, and then you're picking up your car's speakers and all that, and sometimes it gets kind of jarbled. Well, it was the same way just on phone to phone landline call, because so many different operators had to touch and route that call, and these were physically connected wires that were going from end to end. So you had to have your analog voice signal had to be transmitted. It was converted and everything, but it had to be translated across all the junctions, of all these various lines, and have a direct connection. Now your call is just packets that are sent as data, and they can be mixed in with a zillion other phone calls and emails and videos or anything else that are going across one big fat data pipe under the ocean, or wherever. Again, Florida to Seattle, right? So the only quality issues there are when it gets to the other end and all those individual packets are being recombined. How much loss, how much loss is there, and how much do they have to try to repair when they're making that call into audio on the far end? And again, this is basic network data type stuff. For some people, okay, yeah, that's whatever. It's very simplistic. For other people, it's like, oh, really? You lost me at phone line. So, long story is, there were a lot of different entities that had to touch your call to grandma, and they each charged a fee to carry that part of the call. And when it was early, there wasn't enough business. So to even get phone service out to these places, the government had to step in, and that was kind of the regulation in these monopolies. They just needed people to help get that infrastructure out there. Well, then after it had been out there a while, the companies were like, hey, we're the only game in town, and we're gonna limit our competitors. We're gonna give a better product, and we can charge for it. And in their minds, and sort of rightly, it's, well, we did the work, we created this, and we should be able to charge what we want for it. Free market. Well, that's true, but you also did so with government incentives, that kind of stuff. So it's a back and forth. It always has been, always will be. How much is free competition, how much is for the good? But usually, when you are regulated and single entities, it's the customer that suffers a little bit. So that was largely the state when I was a very little kid, and there was a decision to deregulate the long distance phone industry, and to break up the bells. That was this huge deal, that the Bell telephone company had a monopoly on international and some of the local calling in the country, and they were like some of the bank stuff. It was, they have access to all our communications. There's no way for anybody to break in to compete with them, and in order to protect customers, they need to be broken up into individual companies that can then compete with one another. And so that was when AT&T and some of those all became a thing. And there were still some versions. Southwestern Bell, may still be around. MCI came out and all that. So all of a sudden, when I was a kid, all of a sudden it became this. There were a zillion commercials on TV about long distance, and it was reach out and touch somebody. It was the AT&T jingle, this idea, hey, we'll make it affordable for you to call. You don't have to feel like distance is a barrier anymore. You can talk to anybody anytime you want to, and it'll only be like 10 cents a minute. And, oh, that's great. And again, I don't quote me on the values. I don't know, but this was kind of the huge change in the way of thinking, is that you you can call grandma in Seattle from Florida every week instead of only at Christmas, where that's a big part of the Christmas gift. If you talk to her for 5 minutes, that again, I don't know the exact numbers, but that's maybe $10. I don't know again exactly, but these calls were very expensive, and I remember this wasn't just in the U.S. In fact, by the time I was kind of middle school age kid, we had changed so much that I didn't. For one thing, we didn't have a whole lot of long distance relatives and people that we were calling within the country. So I don't know how much it varied domestic versus international. But my dad, it would maybe be a month or so, or around birthdays and things like that he would call. And his dad passed away when I was a very little kid. I mentioned it in past videos. I was was brought over to see my UK family when I was just a toddler, like 1 or 2 years old, and in part because I think my grandpa was in failing health even at that point, and it was kind of my dad wanted to see his family and show off his kids and all that while he still had a chance. So they'd done that, and then the next time that I went back over, he had been. Um, he and my mom had been back and forth, and my grandmother had actually come over to visit us in the years in between. But when I was oh middle school age, fifth, sixth grade, something like that, we went over as a family and got to visit people, and that was kind of the first really aware trip that I had. Excuse me. And um, one of the fun memories of that was when I had a younger cousin at that point, and we were hanging out at their house. Just kind of the relatives from far away. We were having a meal, or waiting for it and just sitting around afterwards, talking. Enjoying the time, getting to know people. And being England, it was probably rainy or something, so we weren't outside at a park or anything like that. We were just sitting around the house. Well, the phone rang, and my little cousin jumped up and ran for the phone, and they were like, "No, no, wait!" And he answered it, and it was my grandmother, I believe, or cousin, another aunt or something. And they talked a little bit. It was a little awkward, and it was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, sorry, little cousin here answered the phone too quick, but it's good to talk to you, and a quick little call. And when they got off, we were like, what was the deal with that? And they said, oh, well, we know that on Sundays they'll call at exactly this time, and if it rings twice, they're just checking in to let us know that everything's all good, no issues or anything like that, and that all is well. If they stay on to talk, then it means that somebody said there's some news or something that's greater. But that was a reflection that in the UK, at least to the same, there were this would have been domestic UK long distance, I believe, but their phone rates were such that you wouldn't even talk. You would just use the rings to send an all good message. And then if it was, more worthy of actually having a conversation, you would actually talk. But in that case, as I understood it at the time, even just connecting those calls had such and whether it was a tax or a surcharge or just the rate or whatever, I don't know how any of that worked, but that was the deal. You didn't just talk on the phone, and it was such a luxury. And by that point in my life, me and my sister were looking at each other like, you guys are crazy. We were just, I was probably a little too young, but she was older and was at that age of, she would talk on the home phone for hours at night with her friends and all that. And back then you only had one phone line, and, that was friction between parents and all that. Why they had never done that. So again, all these things change. The miracle is that here in the pandemic, we've been able to largely um, talk across far distances at will. And while it's been tough to not see loved ones on a regular basis, at least we've been able to stay in close contact. So I'm so grateful that we live in a world where we can do those kind of things and don't have to, wait on mail or um, the opportunity to travel to be able to check in on one another. So I, in the spirit of Mother's Day, just want to say, and I don't know if my mom will ever see this or care to watch a Minecraft video, but Mom, I'm grateful to you. I definitely love you, and you taught me so much. And honestly, for younger viewers here that may not know, it can be tough getting along with your parents as you grow up. You're gonna have conflict. It's a part of growing up, and just understand that. But it doesn't change the fact that by and large, I think most of our parents would do anything for us. We need, until you reach kind of parenting age, you don't have the perspective to understand. They bore you, mothers literally, as a part of themselves as you grew up, and have watched you your entire life, and you are a manifestation and an answer to questions that went from the time they realized you were a part of them, and would be born in months, depending on how long it took them to realize, but usually 8.5 months or so. um, they they've had these unanswered questions. What will my child be? What will they become? And I think, I hope, and there's circumstance and everything, but I think most everyone, to the best of their ability, tries to just give their children opportunities to become the person that they want to, and a person that shares value, shares and embodies values that through religion or culture or whatever else are important. And so I just, I don't want to get corny too much or anything like that, but I definitely love my mom. I appreciate so much, and I've shared several times in this channel how much um, she, as a former teacher when I was a kid, she had been a teacher as a younger woman out of school, and instilled above and beyond any of the public school education that we got growing up, to be lifelong learners, to uh, appreciate art and music and culture, to have varied interests, and to kind of filter those um, through morals. That you, while I've always known, my mom loves me and wants that. You know, it's kind of one of those deals. The easy way, and I kind of pick a lot on, like, Hollywood and studio movies and all that kind of stuff, because they have formulas and they understand it. But the easy way to portray caring parents and all that, is the criminal kid that the mom helps dodge the law or whatever. And that, to me, because in large part because of my parents, that doesn't say a parent that really loves their kid, right? A parent that loves their kid may feel their heart breaking when their kid, they know that their kid is struggling, that their kid feels guilty, and we're all going to do stupid stuff, right? We're all going to disappoint our parents. Just accept it. It will make your relationship better, and if you don't try to pretend that there isn't guilt or pretend that the disappointment hasn't been there. I think you'll be on your way to a more adult and sustainable relationship, a deeper relationship with your families. Um, at least I have as an adult, and I've always been pretty close to my parents, but I know as a teen I did a lot of stupid stuff when I was out on my own. There were a lot of things where they were like, "Look, you're a young kid, but we're not real thrilled with some of the choices you've made." And here's why we think that you may need to modify some of this stuff. If long term, we see you're going for like an easy thrill or fun or whatever, but for in their greater experience, for long term happiness or security or any of that kind of stuff, we we hope you'll consider doing this instead, and or we just flat out don't think what you're doing is right. And sometimes being unequivocal about that is fair. Loving someone says, hey, and we don't share all the same values. I know, my world is different than the world they grew up in, and so a lot of things have changed over all our lives. Um, and but again, that's everybody. That's what um, artists have tried to capture in books and songs and all that kind of stuff, particularly in the 20th century. It may not have been as familiar, like in the Middle Ages or anything like that, where we, you know, fathers and mothers and grandparents and all the rest lived in the same house as their kids, and you didn't have a pace of change in the world through technology or music or culture or anything else that was even appreciable during lifetimes, right? You would sing the songs of your village, and and they wouldn't change all that much century to century, much less in a lifetime of a single person. So what what your parents knew of their childhood was fairly identical to what yours was. Well, now with technology and everything else, that's less the case, and it certainly hasn't slowed down. So for younger viewers today, your world is even more different than your parents. When I say, yeah, long distance phone calls were a an expensive entity. I'm not even going into the fact that when I was the littlest kid, I think we maybe had two phones in our house, and that quickly expanded um, to phones in the various bedrooms and that kind of stuff. But it took a long time to get to that point. It wasn't a deal where everybody just even would go off to a room. The first phone that I really remember as a kid, and again, I think my parents either had one in their bedroom or we had one just lower down on a lower level of our house. Whatever the case was, the main phone was in the kitchen. It was right there where it would be most accessible, kind of in the middle of the house, and where most people were around. But yeah, that was the one, and you would talk there, and then I think, like I said, they had one in their room, and we as kids didn't have phones for quite a while, but eventually they were just all on the same single family phone line, and it wasn't I was I never had a pager until I was I was in work and needed one to be on call. I talked about that too, but before before that had even come uh, quite as far along. I think while I was in school, a lot of people had pagers. It wasn't my kind of deal. Yeah, we still managed to get by just fine. So, yeah, cell phones came along. I got my first one in my first job. They had a like discounted employee purchase program for cell phones. So I had a Nokia brick. It was awesome. Like flip phones were a huge deal when they came along, but yeah, I mean, it looked like an oblong calculator, a fat oblong calculator. So all these various things are changes, and I know for you guys, younger viewers here, it's going to be even more different. You guys will have grown up with video conferencing, remote school, and all that. That's going to change all of our lives very dramatically in time, and you'll look back going, I can't believe that those weren't just things that were readily available. What do you mean that, um, prior to that, it was only for business needs that you would do video conferences? They were just too prohibitively expensive. Well, now I think demand is going to show, and there will be companies that come out of this that'll be like, yeah, we can give you low cost um, video chatting that's just always there, outside of platforms. But I mean, look at that. Twitch and chat rooms and all that kind of stuff. That's going to increasingly connect us even more. We're all gonna grow out of that. So while your parents may not see things that you as a child see are absolutely, I've got to have this critical kind of stuff. And remember, you may think you need to have something in the moment just, because a lot of other people do, but they may be thinking, hey, this actually will help build build character by not letting you have it. Even though you really, really want it, sometimes it's just good to say no. And I know my parents had to teach me that, but it teaches you a lot of self discipline over the course of a lifetime that will prepare you that when you're out on your own, you can tell yourself no. That not a lot of people, not everybody can do that. Some people do it very well, but others really struggle, and those people get themselves into problems, whether it's drinking or food or just buying too much tech gear, right? Too much time on the video game. Sometimes you gotta be able to say no, and because I know my parents and my mom were so loved me enough, and it sounds a little quasi religious, and I don't mean to be sacrilegious. I'm not trying to do that, but in the Christian faith, the idea that for God so loved the world that He gave His only Son to as a sacrifice. Parents sacrifice all the time for the well-being of their kids, and they also have to. Part of that sacrifice is having to do things in the short term that they feel are tough, and that the kids kind of scream and get so mad, tantrums when they're little, pouts when they're older. If it's sons, it's probably more prone to be a slam door and storming out of a room. If it's a daughter, at least in my family, if it's a daughter, it's the slam the bedroom door and go, not come out for hours, because you're so angry at being denied. But I know as an adult and have for a long time that those are the kinds of ways that actually do show a lot of love, and it's the kind of love that's easier maybe not to um, not to have to show. It'd be easier to just say yes all the time to your kids, your loved ones. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do this and that all the time. Whatever you want, I'm going to do it. Sometimes for your own good, I'm not going to do that. So I know how much my parents put into raising me and my sister, how much they gave of themselves, and all the wonderful things in the world that they sacrificed other things for themselves to show us, and that gratitude will never ever go away. So if you're out there, particularly if you're an adult, I kind of just been rambling here and haven't looked. Wow. Lots of time, lots of time. I'm just trying to fill this inventory for one thing. Um, Particularly if you're an adult. You know, if you're a kid, yeah, Mother's Day. You know, if you're fortunate enough to have both parents around, Dad will likely tote you out to go get a card or something. You know, maybe you'll make something at school or do something. Help you. You know, one parent will help you pick out some kind of a present, or maybe some flowers or something for your mom, and that that's cool. As a kid, you just need to say that you love your mom, and you should. You're very dependent at that point, and so usually, you're still kind of in that. Um, my parents are infallible and perfect in every way, and well, all those things. Part of growing up is the maturity, understanding that just like your parents have grown up and learned things, and at the time they had you, particularly if you're an oldest, but even like me, if you're a younger kid, they probably wondered, how in the heck are we going to manage this? We're not ready to be parents, but I think most do a pretty darn good job. So take the time to say thank you. Think about the specific things that that have really made a difference in who the person that you are, and what are those kind of value type things that your parents have always said, this is the right way, because those are things that are hard earned by them. They had to suffer to learn those kinds of lessons, maybe with their parents and things. So um, I just even if she doesn't ever see this, I just want to share some wonderful thoughts about my mom. How how warm and loving she could be, but also that she didn't just turn that into a Hollywood cliche of, okay, well, that moms always are the ones that you can just kind of walk all over and take advantage of, because I think that's a sad representation in popular culture. And I don't mean to dwell on it. My mom wasn't mean or trying to make life difficult. It wasn't some show where like this was a while ago, but it was like some dad, kind of borderline survivalist stuff, and like whoever the main people are walk up to his house, and he's like, you know, stalking. They come into this unknowing, and this adult is like stalking through the house with like a kitchen knife kind of deal, and the kids are like playing, I think like a TV game or something, and he manages to sneak up right behind him. These people walk in and are like, "What?" And then the kids like see him and freak out, or like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "What do you failed. What are you supposed to do? You got to react quicker than that. I could have gotten you." And then these out bystanders are like, what's going on? This has got to stop. This is crazy." He's like, "No, this is how you prepare your kids for the real world. If they would have been dead if I'd been a real predator." It's like, nah, that wasn't the kind of lessons I'm talking about with my parents. Um, we had a very warm, and loving, and parents that would do so much for us. All I'm trying to reflect is that, as a kid, if you're a younger kid, in your teens, or maybe just moved out, that maybe some of those stings of the times when your parents had to get tough with you, had to offer a rebuke or a correction, or hey, what you're doing right now isn't living up to the values that we had hoped to instill in you. And they also know, hey, you're a unique individual, and they know that they didn't always live up to their parents' values completely, so that they get it more than you think, more than you may think at times. But for those of you out there that may be feeling kind of that sting that, hey, my parents are tough on me, everybody else's parents are give them everything they want or whatever, well, there's a lot of hidden sides out there. You may be seeing the grass being greener for other people, your friends or whatever, and they may have stuff that you probably don't hide from your friends, that your parents have expectations of you, and sometimes you feel bad, or they have to sit you down and talk to you. You may not share all those details. Well, may not be sharing the same with you, but I I would be willing to say that most people that don't have bigger issues, where parents are entirely absent, or the parents have their own issues and really aren't focusing on parenting. um, most people would have similar stories in those circumstances. So don't feel out there, and don't let momentarily being upset at parents showing love for you that's not just showering you with everything you want. Don't let that be a wedge. It shouldn't be. And that's what I worry about. The sitcom moms and the movies and all that. Based on what styles of things we get, there's very few times that we really get a message that says that um, real parent love, mother here on Mother's Day, a real mother's love can sometimes be the ones that where she puts your well-being above and beyond just your momentary wants and needs, and shows that she cares for you by sometimes saying no, and that will make all those yeses that much more significant. So very long and rambly. I don't really apologize for it, though. That's what I wanted to do for this Mother's Day edition. And again, I want to say that one of the greatest gifts, and I don't know that I think she's a smart lady. I think she, in some ways, knew very well what she was doing. But I don't know how well she could have imagined it might have worked, when she read to us all those school mornings before we'd head out to the bus stop, and that great love of books, not to mention travel and the world and art and some of those other things that she shared. Um, but uh, though those are some of the wonderful blessings, and all throughout it, she's being a mom, right? We're not notice As kids, we're not even noticing that she's already been up, for an hour before we ever woke up to, get my dad breakfast, and have probably a few quiet morning moments with him before they dragged us out of bed, and then you know spent uh, that extra time with us, and not doing things for herself, but then when we were little, either spending all of her time being a stay-at-home mom, and when that evolved to us being older, juggling some return to the workforce with uh, getting us to all the various stuff that kids do and take for granted. All the sports things, and youth group activities, and school after school activity. Constant taxi service. It's kind of funny. My sister's getting a big dose of that now as my niece and nephew grow up and start getting busier and busier with more of that kind of stuff. She's like, wow. I I drove like 18 different places between two kids yesterday, between the end of school and when I finally went to bed. So, yeah, that reminds both of us how much our mom did for us when we were that age. And we didn't were so caught up in everything that was going on. Yeah, we said thanks for the ride, mom, and all that, but you don't really appreciate how much of a sacrifice that is until you're on the back end of it. Until you go, hey, all those TV sitcom moms, and all that kind of stuff that are doing all these things, they're not getting many chances to just have you know, well, when you're a kid, think about all the opportunities that your parents have to just go do something that they want, whether it's a movie or something. They may have a dinner or something out where they get a sitter and, trying to make sure the kids survive the night without them. But those are rare. And, that has an added planning and price obligation that, um, they have to get a sitter, they have to pay more to do it. They have to plan around when they're going to, maybe this is like a best friend of theirs' birthday. Well, that becomes all right, we got to plan a few weeks in advance. We got to make sure that there's food, food for the kids and all that here and everything else. All those kind of things become subject to getting bumped because if you have um, a theater performance or you have a football game or something as a kid, parents understand kind of going in that your stuff's going to come first, right? that's the new name of the game. Your stuff before their stuff. And they do that gladly and happily because they understand that this is a time of life that you only get a few years in high school, and you only um, get to participate in some of those kinds of activities as a kid. It's just unique. So I just on Mother's Day, Father's Day, all those kinds of things where it's a chance to think back, and doing so remotely where you're away and you only get a quick chance to talk. I like to think about how many things I never really appreciated them doing when I was a kid, or sacrifices that they were making when I was a kid that you know don't don't seem as what sand, oh sandstone. Um, yeah. Anyway, so thanks, Mom. Love you. I don't know that you're ever gonna really watch Minecraft hardcore video, but I don't know. Maybe I'll drop her the link and see it sometime. But as I said, I like getting a chance to talk to them, and I'm really excited. A little, not too distant now. I'm gonna get to go see them for the first time in a long, long time, and that is going to be spectacular. I'm actually going to get to see all my family, and my parents are going to come from one direction. I'm going to come from another. We're all going to meet up at my sister's and see my niece and nephew do a couple of their activities like that. So I can't wait. I think it's going to be an absolute blast, and I haven't done any kind of travel, even any real extended driving or anything like that through the whole pandemic. So real return to some of those kind of activities for me, which will be fun in and of itself, but nothing will compare to finally getting the chance to give everybody a big hug. It's I think those, as all the various commercials, everybody's playing on heartstrings and kind of cashing in on that. But they're right to do it because we all feel that distance in our lives. And so this Mother's Day, I'm thankful I shared some of those thoughts, and I'm excited that it won't be too long, and we'll get to be together again for the first time in a while. So pretty cool. And I wish all of you, if there's moms in the audience, thank you indirectly. I hope that that some of my own thoughts make you. And this is more from like my adult friends and all that. You know, we talk about stuff, but I can laugh and say to any moms out there in the audience, you know, I hope my words as an adult man kind of make you feel like, yeah, maybe my own kids will get it someday. And it's you know, for any of you younger kids, but you know, parents joke about that kind of stuff because it's sort of true. We all um, we all know that that in the moment it can be tough to be a kid and you're growing up, and like I said, we all remember it. But you know, I just want to say I think for the moms out there, you know, even if we don't do good at picking cards and find all this kind of stuff a bit overblown. That come on, you dumb creeper! I knew it. I knew you were close. Um, we we do thank our moms. We love our moms. And hang on one second. Woo! Oh boy. Um, yeah. Oh my gosh. Just breathe. Whew. Get some air back in there. Oh, what's got this tickle going? Okay, so after all that, let's get some. Oh, I should be fixing this dumb shovel now. We will do all that. Where are you coming from? We already went over there, buddy. Um, yeah, might as. Seriously? Alright. I'm going to bring one downstairs. We're going to kind of reset our boxes out here. As we do a little bit of prep for our home improvement. So let's take all the smooth sandstone and a lot more sand. Smooth and smooth, I think. Good. Smooth, 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 smooth. Sandstone. So we'll need another box there. Let's just go ahead and make the double. And again, you know, we need to get some supplies. I think maybe next time we'll do some more building. That. Hang on. Guava, were you paying attention when I said all that stuff? I was saying all that nice mom stuff. I know it was a long way away, but you have super bird hearing. Yeah, I'm saying about the tough love and all that. Well, listen, um, I don't think it's right when you make creeper sounds when I'm leaving the door open and trying to craft boxes. So stop it. See, that's what parents have to do sometimes. And yeah, I'm not Guava's parent, but I'm still in a position of authority and looking out for him as a pet, and gotta keep some of that kind of stuff in check. Okay, so we got our smooth box. We're gonna keep a bit of a sandbox. Sandbox. I eat the sandbox. Do you guys remember that cowling joke? That was always a good one. Okay, so we've got two shulkers. We're going to obviously automate this process a little bit. Let's do this. It's time. Got a lot more coming anyway. You guys know what time it is? No? It's good times. That's for sure. All right. There we go. Plop in all that. Loads up the... Oh, we still had one. Man. Can I just yank that? Yeah, let's do that. Let's get this here. Stone. And I want to keep the mix. I want to keep some... Weird. Oh, the hopper. Okay. Now we can get all this junk out of here. I don't think we're going to need the buckets anymore. I wonder where I should stash those, though. Load up this. Hopper should now be... I think it'll fill once the... Man, oh man. Okay. All of this goes in there. This is now clean. Let's go return it to storage. Back upstairs. There we go. Empty box, empty box. Good, good. Those away. Now out here we should still have some more regular sandstone. And I think we can manipulate this pretty easily. I think we'll take the rest of this down after we drop off the buckets. Let's drop off all this other stuff. I mean, we did get 2 pieces of gunpowder. Not the clip that we need to be acquiring gunpowder at. We need a lot of rockets. Okay, the rest of this stuff goes downstairs. And into the furnace. So we'll have eventually a big old batch of smooth as well. And those two will at least equip us to, we're gonna have a lot more than we previously did for our building. And what I'm thinking is, I know the next thing we really need to do is use the fortune axe and get some XP repair shovel here. But while we're working here, I don't know why I went that way. I just go outside. I think we may... this box can largely sit as it is, but I think eventually we'll want to make another box and make that for various slabs, stairs, these walls, all those decorative type pieces. Because, we're not just going to want square edges and all these kind of things. We're going to want to dress them up a little bit. And going way back many episodes now, we have a kind of next priority. We want to finish this water entrance and kind of make its gate, and I think another small tower there. I do think eventually this may kind of be the rise where we would put like a larger above the walls kind of, it's not a keep. This isn't a medieval fortress so much, but a large tower that would give kind of the observation point and have a wider commanding view out and around the area and more, you know, if you had, that's why a lot of fortifications became lower. For one thing, cannonballs shooting in can take out a big tower. Pretty, all you have to do is hit it a few times in the middle, and the whole top is going to come down. So low and squat offer less target for cannons, um, but it's also you don't need to be 100 feet off the ground. If if your walls are 40 and it's ocean out in the distance, you don't need to see terribly far in any direction. But a slightly bigger tower that kind of has a commanding view all the way around the settlement would be nice. So maybe twice as high as the outer wall towers or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But bigger around and more imposing and really more visible to anybody approaching. Hey, look at, wow, we're in big town. We're looking at a big place. Then around, you know, um, improving this little wharf, we've got access now to lots of mossy cobble and all the mossy bricks and stones and things. So those would be fun to work with. We've got, and we said, sleep, not yet, soon. Sleep to avoid the monsters. Take a sip. We will look to expand our wall out and around. And I think we had said along the way that this tree probably has to go. But we can run the wall out to here and potentially another tower, kind of swing out. So there's another tower up here overlooking the bees. This is going to come back a little bit because by the time we expand it out, rather than just having well, maybe we'll have kind of a cliff face there. I don't know. But kind of another larger tower up on the hill here beside this tree, and then dropping down to an entrance to our little harbor here. We'll probably run it on the interior of our barrier islands here, so that there's water inside, but these are kind of outside the wall with the bamboo and eventually the jungle trees and the sheep, but still having wall enough here so that this channel is kind of an internal safe harbor for, I think bigger ships, right? Maybe we'll do our best to replicate one of the ruined ships or something parked at anchor inside. But wall out with these as kind of exterior barriers, but they kind of goes around, and then another tower here that would command this entrance. So we've got several water entrances, lots of stuff that we can do with shipping and warehousing and stuff that would all be inside the exterior. Well, and yeah, this is a big project. And that's why I don't want to just keep ignoring it for now. I don't want to do it all. I'm not saying we're going to do it all at once. I'm just kind of trying to continue to lay out. And it's been a long time since we talked about it at all. Eventually, much of this is going to get cut, and we're going to build kind of, village-like, compound. There, somewhere in a fortress like that, there's got to be like a parade ground, an open, large space. There'll probably be a stable inside where some horses could come, but at some point we got to make a horse area outside too, where we'd have the grazing in the fields and the areas where the actual hostlers would work with the stock. Then you kind of bring in the cavalry mounts and all those kind of things that are trained and ready, and those kind of come in to be ready to use for transportation or fighting or whatever else. But it wouldn't just be all horse operations inside the settlement. So some kind of a stable, some kind of a quartermaster post. What we'd probably need like a barracks. We've already talked about a great hall. Whether that goes into the large kind of tower, not necessarily, but maybe into a larger kind of great hall that would sit maybe above an underground barracks with just more beds, kind of like the villager thing, but without the villagers, we wouldn't need to have all the individualized cells and things like that. Just kind of a bunk room, bunkhouse kind of thing. But maybe that's lower, and then up above is a big great hall for banqueting and displaying our trophies, our banners, and all that kind of stuff. Some kind of a little chapel. Usually places would have some kind of a faith um, building inside and set apart where people could go seek spiritual advisement. So lots of, and some kind of a mercantile general goods type store, trading post for the residents. Again, we're going to be a resident of one, but that doesn't mean we ignore the various types of things that would be needed for a, a settlement, a vibrant settlement that's not just soldiers sitting there picking their ears. It's people trying to make a living out in a previously unknown land. So just a little bit of kind of talking back through some of the stuff that we've covered, kind of doing a tour background and some of the ideas. But I think starting point um, will largely be getting the outer wall out here a little bit, so that we can start kind of working on this water entrance, which I think we're always going to keep, but it's going to be kind of minor, right? The big harbor is going to be the main water entry. This would be more of like a little Sally port type uh, deal, but for us, it will always be a handy way to get over to the lodge. And we don't know that we're always going to be living in that tower. We very likely will move on, make some kind of a house that's a little nicer than that. So, uh, that's usually something when you're getting by. You kind of keep getting by. You don't move until there's a real need. So that would be a later addition. Got a lot of necessities to take care of first. So those are the building type ideas. Um, and again, we got lots of other projects and things going on too. We want to keep working on netherite, or start working on netherite. We got to find some of that and begin to apply it to our tools. We need to fly around. We got biomes to find. Um, we when we find biomes, we'll need to extend them out. We got to figure out a place to make a raid. We should have a totem in our hand to keep any disasters from becoming extra world costing. So, all kinds of stuff, all to be done. And we're right at time. So, Mom, thanks. I love you. If you ever watch this, I hope you already know it, but just wanted to talk about some of the things that have always been special. And again, I love you so much, not just for all the warm fuzzy Hallmark card stuff, but for the fact that you had the courage to raise us right and to stand up for morals and decency, and call it, love us enough to make us understand the meaning of no. And sometimes, and the meaning of needing to evaluate your own actions and performance. That's so huge. And again, it to me, that's deeper love than just the warm and fuzzy stuff. So, um, love y'all, and for all the viewers out there, guys, I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for letting me ramble a little bit. The talking, and I kind of thought about maybe starting into this at some future episode. I want to talk a little bit about the books because, again, I love to read. Thanks, Mom, for starting that early. But I think at some point I'd like to talk a little bit about various book lists. What are your favorites, but what are the categories to break those down? So, um, those will be topics to maybe talk about through some more chore type episodes. But for now, I'm going to let you all go. I'm going to give my mom a real life call because it's cheap and I can, and tell her how special she is on Mother's Day. I hope you guys have done the same. If you're seeing this, if you catch it right in time, maybe you can still scramble to make up a Mother's Day reminder, but hopefully it hasn't slipped your mind. Again, those are things to watch for, and just know that you got a mom out there, someone that loves you. If you've lost a mom, my heart goes out to you, but good time to commemorate. And, those don't have to be sad memories. It can be a fun way to remember people that have passed on and how meaningful they were. So everybody take care. Get outside, even if it's sprinkly and cool like it is here today. It's good to get up, get moving, stretch your legs, and remind yourself that you're not made out of sugar. You won't melt if you get a little bit damp. Just put on a raincoat, stay warm, and have a towel to wipe off your shoes when you come back in so you don't track mud all over the house. Anyway, you guys are awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Um, we'll see you next time, and I think I'll probably be doing a few more episodes here today. So tune back in. But for now, I love you. I love you, Mom. I love the rest of you guys too in a much more casual Minecrafty kind of way. But I really do appreciate even if it doesn't go to full-fledged love. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in and sharing their feedback and thoughts in these episodes. So get out there and hug your mom. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.